Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. Let's just jump right in. I want you to close your eyes for a second and imagine a deep, quiet forest. Okay, now switch it up. Picture a hot, sandy desert. Or maybe a cool, rushing river. Animals and plants are absolutely incredible, right? But here's the thing, they can't just live anywhere. I mean, a fish isn't going to survive in desert sand, and you're definitely not going to see a cactus growing in the middle of a river. Every single living thing needs a special place with the absolute right conditions to live. And today, we're diving into exactly what that special place is. It's called a biotope. Let's figure out what a biotope is and why it's so incredibly important to our beautiful planet. So here's our game plan for today. We've got 6 steps. 1. What is a biotope? 2. Parts of a biotope. 3. Biotope plus biosynosis. 4. Exploring biotope types. 5. The abiotic factors. And 6. Why biotopes matter. Let's do this. Step 1. What is a biotope?
Think of nature like a giant neighborhood. Before any animals or plants can actually move in, you've got to build the houses, right? Well, a biotope is exactly that. It's a part of the non-living nature with certain environmental conditions where a community of living organisms can survive. Now, really focus on that word, non-living. A biotope is just the home, the physical environment itself. Without this perfectly built, non-living house, absolutely nothing could survive there.
Now, I know biotope sounds like some super complicated science term, but it's actually really simple if we break down its Greek roots. Bios means life, and topos means place. You put them together, and biotope translates perfectly to place of life. It is literally the physical place where life happens. All right, step 2. Parts of a biotope. Picture this. You're standing outside. You can actually feel the sunlight warming your skin, right? You feel the temperature rising. Maybe you feel the moisture in the air or rain falling down. You feel the wind blowing the air around you. And beneath your feet, you're standing on solid rocks and soft soil. Well, these 6 things, sunlight, temperature, water, air, rocks, and soil, they are the main building blocks of a biotope. Notice how none of these things are alive, but together, these non-living parts totally make the rules. They decide exactly who gets to live there. Which brings us to step 3, biotope plus biosynosis. Okay, so now that we've built our sturdy, non-living house with all that sunlight, soil, and water, it's time to introduce the family that moves in. This is where we see the split between the 2 main parts of nature. On one side, we have our biotope. Remember, this is the non-living part of nature, the soil, water, and air that create the conditions for life. On the other side, we have the biosynosis. This is the living part of nature, the plants, the animals, the fungi, and the bacteria. They're the family living in the conditions set by the biotope. So, like in a forest, the rich dirt and rainfall, that's the biotope. But the tall trees, the hooting owls, and the jumping squirrels, that's the biosynosis. So, what actually happens when we put the house and the family together? Boom, we get an ecosystem. Biotope plus biosynosis equals an ecosystem. This is a massive rule in nature, you guys. You simply cannot have an ecosystem without both the non-living home and the living family working together. They completely rely on each other.
Step 4. Exploring biotope types. Let's take a little world tour.
Just take a second to soak in the sheer variety of nature we have on this planet. From the deep, shady greens of a forest to the bright, open sunshine of a grassy meadow. From the scorching, hot, sandy dunes of the desert to the cool, deep blue waters of our oceans, all the way up to the rocky, freezing peaks of the mountains. Nature builds so many radically different types of houses.
Let's break these down and see who lives where and why. First up, the forest biotope. It's got rich soil, nice shade, and moderate humidity. Because of this perfect setup, you'll find tall trees, busy little squirrels, owls, and foxes. Next, the meadow biotope. Open space and tons of light. This sunny home is perfect for grasshoppers leaping around, butterflies, and birds like larks. Then we have the desert biotope. Now this one is tough. High temperatures and almost no water. Only the absolute strongest survive here. Think cacti holding on to moisture, camels, and scorpions. Fourth is the aquatic biotope, so lakes, rivers, and ponds. The rules here are all about water depth and currents, making it the perfect home for swimming fish, algae, mollusks, and crustaceans. Finally, the mountain biotope. The air up here is thin, winds are harsh, and it is freezing. But tough animals like mountain goats and soaring eagles call these rocky peaks home.
All right, step 5, the abiotic factors. Now, abiotic factors is just the fancy scientific term for those non-living environmental conditions that influence a biotope. It sounds tricky, but whenever you hear abiotic, just remember, A means not, and bio means living, not living. So abiotic factors are simply the non-living forces of nature.
And here are our master controllers once again: light, temperature, the amount of water, wind, soil composition, and relief, which, by the way, just means the shape of the land, like if it's a hill or a flat plain. These specific abiotic factors are the absolute bosses of nature. They completely dictate which living organisms can survive in any given spot. Honestly, if you change just the amount of water, you change the entire biotope. Here's the kind of crazy fact that might surprise you. When we talk about forests and mountains, we tend to think huge, right? But a biotope doesn't have to be massive. Even a tiny little pond in your local park has its very own biotope. It has water, a muddy bottom, a specific temperature, light bouncing off the surface, and a certain amount of oxygen. Those tiny, localized abiotic factors dictate exactly which little bugs, frogs, and fish can live right there in that small space. Nature is just amazing at literally every size. And finally, step 6, why biotopes matter. Healthy biotopes are literally the foundation of everything. The biotope creates the very conditions for life. It determines exactly which species can live in an area and even influences how many organisms can survive there without running out of food. It provides the shelter, the food, and the water needed to form that living biosynosis we talked about. Ultimately, a healthy biotope maintains the stability of the entire ecosystem. Because think about it, if the biotope gets destroyed, the family living inside it entirely loses their home.
So, knowing everything we've covered today, I want to leave you with a fun question to spark your imagination. If you could pack a bag right now and safely explore just one of these, which biotope would you choose? Would you wander through the shady, rich soil of a forest? Climb the rocky, freezing peaks of a mountain? Brave the hot, dry sands of a desert? Or maybe grab a magnifying glass to look at the tiny underwater world of a pond? Whatever you choose, just remember that every single living organism needs a home. By understanding how the non-living biotope and the living biosynosis work perfectly together to form an ecosystem, we learn how to better protect our beautiful world. Protect the biotope and you protect the millions of species that call it home, including ourselves. Keep exploring, keep asking questions, and always remember to learn nature so you can understand its laws. Thanks so much for hanging out with me on this explainer today, and I'll see you next time.